Siomra
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to On Siomra. Welcome back to the tiny room for the first time of the year of 2020. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I am the Michael named thusly in the title Michael and Benjamin's podcast.
Titular.
Exactly. And I am joined by the man who, in the dream I had about him last night, dropped Hollywood starlet Malin Ackerman down some stairs. It's Benjamin.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. That wasn't a dream, Michael. That was another cocaine binge.
Oh, very good. We do enjoy ourselves.
Welcome to season 3.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good, yes. Benjamin, what are we talking about? Ben,
Stuff.
a lot of stuff has happened.
Pop culture stuff.
Yeah, let's do our classic. We'll have a look at some news, then we'll have a look at some reviews, then we'll fill in the rest with rambling.
With stuff.
Very good, Ben. The first thing, Ben, is you have shown me just moments ago, using the power of a televisual communication device,
Yes.
that the TV show Locke and Key is to exist.
Yes, the TV show Locke and Key is to exist, Michael, on Netflix of all places. I think they're the only ones that can do these big budget things these days for TV shows. They seem to...
I tell you what, Benjamin, it looks spectacular.
It looks awfully good.
It's very professional looking.
It's very sleek, very streamlined. It's been in development hell, Michael, for quite a few years now.
Of course, there was a pilot, wasn't there?
I think there was. I've never seen
pilot.
it.
Did you? I think I watched the pilot. I think we talked about this before.
We did.
A pilot.
We've had a Lock and Key episode, I think.
Yeah,
somewhere in our history. I think we have one somewhere in our history. Anyway, Michael is a huge fan. As I sit here in the tiny room, I can see them from where I'm sitting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
Michael.
there are others as well, though, but they're just not as neatly organised. Also, Benjamin, I actually use a key to manipulate your mind, because every time we do this podcast, at the end you go, "That's it, never doing that again," and then I pop a key in your head, open you up, and take out that idea.
I suspected as much, Michael.
And I keep them in a little jar and I torture them.
Oh, that doesn't actually shock me all that much. In fact, that's right on character for you. You sadistic podcast megalomaniac.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But it looks very good, Michael. I was a little apprehensive at the beginning of the trailer, Michael, because it felt very Disney to me.
Did you think so?
The soundtrack made it feel very Disney. But then, Michael, if you watch the trailer, you notice there's a scene where there's a young lady soaked in blood. So I'm figuring it's probably not all that Disney-like.
Probably not. But Benjamin, I have to say, just watching that trailer there, it looks on the money for it's going to be the show.
Yes, no, it's got... Thanks for that, Michael.
You know
that was
what I'm saying?
very succinct.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it's going to do the gothic undertones quite well, because Joe Hill, Michael, bloody horror writer, bloody son of Stephen King.
Yeah,
Michael.
Joe Hill, not his real name.
Joe Hill, not his real name. A pseudonym, a pen name, a nom de guerre, so he wasn't associated with his father.
It's not a nom de plume.
Yeah, it's all. I just missed the exact one that I was trying to find. I give you all the other possible ones for fake names, except for the one that I wanted. What was I going to say? Yeah, Joe Hill, not a bad horror writer. Michael.
I haven't read any of his books.
Horns is one, turned into a movie with Mr. Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, yeah.
Also one called Nosferatu, if you're into that kind of thing.
With the number 4.
Yeah, about a hitchhiking vampire.
Oh, very clever.
Yeah, so he's not bad. He's got a nice little style to him. Enjoyable
Benjamin,
reads.
I'm going to spin my wheels here while you figure this out. Who is going to be playing Echo?
That's a great question, Michael.
You
spin your wheels.
In the pilot, Ben, that I think who produced the pilot? Was it ABC? I'm glad ABC aren't doing it. But in the pilot all those years ago, it was Ksenia Solo, who I always thought was a pretty good shout for that character. But it looked to me in the trailer like, I'm going to do a little spoiler here, Ben, so everyone should just take...
Off you go, Michael.
Just brace themselves for a little spoiler for the show, the upcoming show Locke and Key. Echo is a spirit in female form, but originally a boy.
Yes, it's a gender bending spirit.
It's a gender bending spirit, and it looked to me in the trailer we only got a very brief glimpse of someone who it might have been, and it could have been their male form.
We don't necessarily know.
It would be pretty interesting if they went an androgynous route, and it was actually the same actor playing the male and the female form, just with different makeup or something.
Now, Michael, that seems very possible here, because what we've got here is Felix Mallard has been cast in a reoccurring role in the upcoming Netflix adaptation of Locke and Key. Mallard will play Lucas Caravaggio, a charming teenager in the town of Matheson, whose exposure to magic leads to serious complications. So he will appear opposite Elle Fanning in... No, that's not it. Never mind. That's a different thing. He joins. Yeah, it doesn't give us the female Echo, but he would seem to be playing the male version.
That's interesting.
Of Echo. It doesn't say anything about androgyny abounds.
Lucas Caravaggio.
Lucas Caravaggio is the original character who then messes around with magic and becomes Echo.
Big spoiler there, Ben. I was trying to be a bit vaguer, but you've spoiled it much more. But that's fine. Look, that's fine. You're not known for your subtlety. Benjamin.
It's a very old comic, Michael.
Speaking of not being known for your subtlety, we also saw the new trailer for the Birds of Prey Bop.
We did. And the fabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn. Michael, I think it's a testament to how much a trailer can affect your willingness to watch a film.
Yes.
Because when I watched the original Birds of Prey trailer, I went, no.
No, thank you. That's not for me.
And when I watched this Birds of Prey trailer, I went, yes, I will watch that.
Benjamin, are you concerned, as we have been in the past with DC movies, that the first trailer may have been more representative of the film, and then the second trailer is a much better trailer, but then the film will be much more like the first trailer? Or DC are listening to this podcast and they'll say, oh, Ben prefers the second trailer. You, editing house, get in there and make the film more like that second trailer you just sold us.
Well, Michael, I think between you and I, we obviously know that, yes, that's definitely what's happening. The latter option is exactly what DC is doing.
Very complex question.
Are you talking about an Suicide Squad syndrome?
Yeah, Suicide Squad.
Basically any kind of DC movie that's come out in the last while.
I think Suicide Squad is the one that famously
did it. Yeah, we were all into it, and then we went and saw it and went,
oh no, this is nothing like
that. Look, I think this movie is trying very hard, and this trailer makes it very clear that we're distancing ourselves from the Suicide Squad there, because we're starting with the breakup of Harley Quinn.
And a bit of a statement about Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah, we're just not having any of that anymore.
We're going to crash him into a chemical plant.
I don't know if that actually happens, but it looks like that might actually happen.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to see Ewan McGregor as Roman Sionis.
McGregor.
It looks bloody interesting. Look, I'm more interested in this one. I found out Cassandra Cain's in it, Michael. Very interesting to see Cassandra Cain there, because that's Batgirl.
The silent
at a certain
Batgirl.
point. She's now known as Orphan in the DC continuity, which is a bit on the nose.
Someone else as well. Wasn't she for a while?
Was
Echo? Was she called Echo?
I think she was called Whisper, maybe Whisper.
I can't remember.
Anyway, she played a bloody silent assassin for a while.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk.
She's mute and deaf.
She looks like a pickpocket.
Yeah.
In this, she is one of the best martial artists in the comics continuity.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going the same way.
I think they're probably definitely not.
She's raised by the League of Assassins.
Yeah, Assassins. And that's a whole thing. So look, the Huntress is there. Bloody Renee Montoya. A little bit of LGBTQ representation there for the gang. So look, it looked very interesting. Bjork was the soundtrack, an oddly fitting thing to...
very pro-drugs.
Yes, very cocaine will get you through it. Don't you worry.
Don't worry. Superheroes are based on cocaine.
I enjoy right at the beginning when Margot Robbie is doing her narration that her Australian accent slips in there with her kind of and I was like, oh Margot, doesn't matter. Look, we're gonna have to go see it, Michael. I am more eager to see it based on this trailer than I was in the previous trailer, but it could be a case of trailer shenanigans.
Benjamin, doesn't Margot Robbie look like Jamie Presley?
Yeah, she does.
It's startling.
Yeah, it's starting to become more and more so as she gets older.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, what are we talking about next? But I think we'll move into... Was there any more news?
Bloody. Speaking of Batman, bloody Fowler has gone and gotten himself a round of casting.
Do you think that the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, is going to just feature all of the villains in little cameos? Because there's too many now. Yeah,
it's bloody stacked to the ceiling.
What's going on?
Stacked. I think we're probably going to get quite a few cameos. I think it's going to be... Cameos. I think we're going to get like a trip through Gotham. And we're just going to see different things. I am looking forward to seeing the Penguin. That's going to be very enjoyable for me to watch, Michael. I'm assuming he's going to keep his Irish accent. He keeps his Irish accent in just about everything.
No, he didn't have his Irish accent in Phone Box.
Or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Not Find Them.
Fantastic Beasts, where are they? Where are the Fantastic Beasts?
Oh, we should definitely be allowed to write Hollywood movies, Michael. He didn't have it in that either, I suppose.
He's about 50-50.
Yeah, look,
and don't forget as well that in the movie which we saw recently, that's not his real accent.
It's not.
He was doing a funny voice.
That was a very intense version of it. Speaking of movies we've seen recently, Michael.
Okay, let's talk about movies we've seen recently, Benjamin.
Go on, you lash into it there, Michael.
Well, the movie I saw first, Ben, was the much maligned Cats.
Oh, God.
Because I'm magical Mr. Mistopheles. Benjamin, I went to see Cats. The massive financial failure of Cats. Yeah. And let me tell you, Ben, What we've witnessed there is the birth of a legend of cinema.
Is it? Because I've heard mixed reports here, Michael. I've heard
You've
that it's not
mixed
even
reports. That's what this section of the podcast is called.
Mixed reports.
Mixed reports
For the movies that Ben just can't stomach.
Yes.
I've heard that it's not even ironically enjoyable, Michael.
Benjamin,
That's what I've heard.
If you want to go and enjoy it ironically, get out of here. It's not for you,
Okay.
you son of a bitch.
Fair
Benjamin, do you like the massively broadly successful or musical Cats?
enough. No.
Well, then it's not for you.
Okay.
But you know the massively broadly successful, enduringly popular musical Cats
Yes.
with its massive fan base?
Yes.
It's for them.
But it didn't make any money, Michael.
It will.
It won't.
It will.
It won't.
We're going to be that movie is going to be playing in cinemas in 30 years' time.
I doubt that's
and
true.
there's going to be people at it. You haven't even bloody seen the thing. You don't know the.
I'm playing a foil here, Michael. This podcast doesn't work if I go, oh really, oh really, oh
yeah,
really.
well, hold on. But you also don't know the enduring legacy of. I can't speak. I've forgotten how to podcast.
You've lost your ability to podcast. That's shocking. We did take a very long break.
Yeah, nearly 3 weeks. The enduring popularity of the musical theatre production Cats, Ben, says a lot because this movie, the movie Cats, not the musical theatre production Cats, the enduringly popular, the not enduringly popular musical Cats, is an on-screen cinema version of the enduringly popular musical Cats.
Christ.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you don't like the enduringly popular musical theatre production Cats, then the musical theatre movie film Cats probably isn't aimed at you anyway in the first place.
Despite my irritation, I am very impressed by your verbal dexterity.
I'm struggling a bit. So, Benjamin, for example, right? The enduringly popular musical theatre production Cats isn't a plot-based thing. It's people dressed as cats jumping about and singing and introducing themselves and going, I'm the cat who lives on the railway. I am the railway cat. I am living on the railway. Now I'll do a little tap. Imagine I'm on a railway. Right? Yeah. In the film, you don't have to imagine he's on a railway because the imagination takes place on the screen.
Right. With the old Industrial Light and Magic.
Industrial Light and Magic, for example.
Right.
Also, yeah, it's if you like the musical, it's good. And I quite like the musical.
Right, moving on from there, Michael, what do we see together?
I don't remember.
I'm done with Cats.
And I like Cats. It was good.
You did not like Cats.
I did like
Cats. Don't lie to me.
I didn't.
Don't lie to the listenership.
I enjoyed the musical theatre movie production.
Ladies and gentlemen, he enjoyed the musical theatre production Cats.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the film theatre production Cats.
Yeah.
Purely through spite.
No.
Because none of his regular cinema buddies would go with him.
Yeah. I had to go with.
He texted Shane and myself, friend of the podcast, Shane and myself, twice to say, right, when are we going to Cats? And both times, for the first time ever, Shane and I went, no, we're
Shane,
not
you
doing
agreed.
it.
But look, Ben, I called the girls and I went with the girls and we saw Cats.
He did.
And it was great.
If you'd like to see him and the girls seeing the musical Cats, check out Sean Rebuke on Instagram. You'll find him there with a face of pure joy. Pure joy.
It was great.
Unbridled joy.
It was great. Ian McKellen is in it. He seems to have been given a different set of directions from everyone else. It's quite amusing. Oh, it's great.
Okay, moving on from there to something we all saw together, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
The Gentleman.
Without the girls, though.
By fucking Guy Ritchie in it.
Fucking Guy Ritchie, you
slave.
Yeah, we don't usually say the C word on the podcast.
You slave. No, we can't say that one. No. There are some people here that listen to. Look, Guy Ritchie's famous for a few things.
Yeah.
He loves a bloody coincidental saving.
Yeah.
A bloody all the plot lines come together in a sheer coincidence. He loves that.
Yeah.
Loves an L chase scene.
Yeah.
Loves an L violence in the background motif.
Yeah.
Loves an L bloody C word.
C-bomb, yeah.
And we actually waited. We timed it, Michael, to see how long it would take him to drop one. About 3 minutes in.
The first conversation.
3 minutes in. Bloody, what's his name? Oh, God, I've forgotten.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant, bloody, boom, drops it.
Yeah.
Bloody enjoyable film all the same, Michael.
Thoroughly enjoyable, Ben.
Back on form. He's had a few flops here and there. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, Michael.
The famous musical theatre production, Aladdin. That was pretty good.
Was Aladdin good?
Yeah, Aladdin was pretty good.
Did it make any money?
Oh, yeah.
Made some money.
Oh, made a
they
lot
all
of money.
do, don't they? They all make big money.
I think it broke $1 billion.
Bloody money. That's how he got to make another crime film.
Yeah.
He had that bloody,
look,
bloody money.
Look, boys, I made a bloody Aladdin for you now.
Right, let me get back to my bloody roots. Hey, you
fuckhead.
Anyway,
Colin Farrell steals the show.
Probably steals it. Him and Matthew McConaughey. Match made in heaven. 10 out of 10. Would watch again.
I don't think he has any scenes with Matthew McConaughey.
I know, but they both, as separate characters, steal the show.
Yeah.
Look, it's It's a convoluted little tale with a framing device. Classic Guy Ritchie, where one man tells a story and we see that story in various forms. Goes a little bit meta on this one, Michael. Turns out that this is all... What's his name?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant's character. Hugh Grant plays a bizarrely camp, tabloid, private eye...
He's a paparazzo, really. Isn't he?
Yeah, that's basically what he is. But he plays a bizarrely camp kind of version of that called Fletcher. Yeah. And he's been tracking some London shenanigans.
Yeah, it's classic London shenanigans.
But this is a much more modern London shenanigan. This strays very far from Guy Ritchie's kind of traditional London-based antics, where we had like a bunch of boys from various neighbourhoods doing London things. And this one is, how has London changed? The big international city that it is these days. Bloody
Chinese.
Sadiq Khan is the mayor. Yeah. There's bloody foreign investment abounds. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting to kind of see him broaden his little London show.
Mm-hmm. Colin Farrell's in it.
Colin Farrell is in it, the Farreller. He's in there. And it's interesting to kind of see this thing play out. I would say it's his best crime one since Snatch. I think it's one of his stronger ones.
But do you like Dags?
I do like Dags.
Yeah, very good.
Look, he has a whole new cast. We haven't got any of his staples. There was no Jason Fleming in this one.
There was Charlie Hunnam.
Actually, his new favourite, Charlie Hunnam. I think he owed Charlie Hunnam after bloody King Arthur. He was just like, look, I'll put you in the next one. I'm sorry.
Charlie, sorry about that, mate.
Sorry about that, mate.
You absolute fuckhead. Put you in the next
film.
Put
you in the next one, mate. Put you in the next film. I don't think he talks like that. I think Guy Ritchie's quite...
Also, Guy Ritchie is big into jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you know that. So it's really... Yeah, Guy Ritchie loves jiu-jitsu. He takes his jiu-jitsu mats with him everywhere he goes.
Also, the man who plays Lord George, whose name I don't know, was also
Henry
in King
Golding.
Arthur. Lord George is the older Chinese gentleman. Henry Golding plays Dry Eye.
Who's not a dry eye in the house.
Not a dry eye in the house. Who's the kind of up and coming young fella, kind of trying to take on the world. Matthew McConaughey is amazing.
Matthew McConaughey plays Matthew McConaughey.
That's what he does in everything.
He's Matthew McConaughey in London.
The man is 90% charisma and then a few vital human organs.
You know who was great in it?
Who was?
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell was amazing.
Very funny.
He's the coach, and he's basically an Irish boxing coach, an MMA fighter.
Yeah, he's very good.
There's an excellent chip shop scene where vinegar's used to teach some pups a lesson. Great. And his dialogue is amazing. It stays with you.
Funny thing is, I heard a lot of English people saying, Mark Kermode, for example, said Colin Farrell playing what I'm sure is a very sensitive depiction of an Irishman in London. And speaking as Irishmen, Ben, I thought it was actually quite accurate.
It was actually, to be fair, there's no hamming it up. Yeah. He's an Irishman, and he has that kind of...
He hams it up a little bit.
Okay, there's a touch of ham. But overall... It's not a bad depiction of an Irishman. Like, he's a bit silly in his tracksuit, and he has all the other lads in a tracksuit.
I know people who dress and talk like that.
Well, there you go. So there you go. You're part of a very different world to me, Michael. But look, I didn't think it was all that bad. Matthew McConaughey is very enjoyable. He gives a speech about a lion in the jungle. As I said to you walking out of the cinema, I'm fairly certain Matthew McConaughey might have just sat down with a beer and a pickled egg and actually said that. And Guy Ritchie was like, keep it in the film.
Keep it in the fucking film, mate.
Keep it in the fucking film. That's pretty brilliant.
Fucking you fuckhead.
Look, it's an enjoyable romp.
Fucking jiu-jitsu mats will have a match.
It's an enjoy. Do you think you could take Guy Ritchie? You probably could, couldn't you? You could take Guy Ritchie.
He's pretty good though, I've heard. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about
it. Anyway, I found it very enjoyable, Michael. A return to form of sorts for his crime dramas. I enjoy a lot of Guy Ritchie stuff, though.
I don't really.
I would be in the minority, I think, of the people we know with taste and
very good. Very good. I see what you've done there.
I would be in the minority.
I did enjoy the film Cats.
Well, I mean, I think that speaks more about your taste.
Jellicle cats are jellicle cats.
Anyway, Guy Ritchie's going to be directing the sequel to Cats, Cats 2, Let's Fucking Have You.
Cats 2, Less Cats.
Come and have a go if you think you're cat enough. With Idris Elba in the primary role and Jared Butler playing the old tomcat down the alley.
Oh, that'd be good. I'd
watch that. But anyway, it was kind of a return to form for him. I think it brings all his classic tropes together. There's been some criticism of Charlie Hunnam in it, Michael, including from my brother who said, I just didn't get it, I thought it was a bit shit.
He's a cipher. He's
audience surrogate. He's our audience surrogate. So he's just there to do a job. I think he's also probably playing a character that we don't quite understand, in that he's a northern man who's attempting to be a lot cleaner and kind of put together. And I think
going on.
I think that's a big part of what's going on there, and I think that's been seen in a couple of things. He's almost like a Thomas Shelby character from Peaky Blinders.
Never seen Peaky Blinders.
Okay, well, if you're not familiar with that, I think they're kind of channeling that northern and suave thing that Peaky Blinders has created.
Is that friend of the podcast? What's his name? The weird guy.
Cillian Murphy.
Oh, it's Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy.
He's also Irish.
Cillian Murphy. It's Cillian Murphy, and he's also
very
Irish. Yeah, that's fine. I probably
very
wouldn't.
small.
Yeah, he'd probably just intimidate me into backing down.
No use at jiu-jitsu.
We don't know that, Michael.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway, there was a lot of criticism of that particular character. I also listened to the Mark Kermode review afterwards, and Mark Kermode's a little bit salty about the depiction of tabloids and journalists in that film. He doesn't like it. He's a little bit, and I understand why. It's not a very flattering depiction.
Yeah, it's not a very flattering depiction of the media.
But I think it would be fair to say, from our perspective, Michael, that's how a lot of people view the English media, especially here in Ireland. That's exactly what we think of English media. It's bloody Daily Mail.
The reason, Ben, I'm not a big fan of Guy Ritchie in general is I don't like his glorification of criminals.
He does glorify them quite heavily. Tell you what he doesn't like, Michael.
Yes, quite.
And I say this not to offend anybody, because I know this term can cause quite a bit of ire. Doesn't like a junkie.
No, he doesn't like junkies or
a drug addict. Should we say a drug addict? Or a member of the travelling community?
Junkie is the word he uses.
Junkie is the word that he uses, because I don't want to throw that out there, because I know that's a very sensitive issue, Michael. That's a rare bit of sensitivity and forethought from me there.
You all right?
2020, new decade, baby.
New decade.
Less lawsuits for Ben. But he's a lot of his movies, because I went back and I've done a little Guy Ritchie retrospective, Michael, in my own time, and I went back and watched Snatch, and I went back and watched Rock and Roller. Again, not a very favourable depiction of drug addicts in Rock and Roller.
No, he doesn't like drug addicts.
He's not a
he's
fan.
big into jiu-jitsu, you see.
Is it part of the jiu-jitsu code to hate those who are addicted to drugs?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what jiu-jitsu means in Japanese. Junkie beater.
Junkie scum. But anyway, look, it's interesting to see that. I think there are some great scenes. I think it's an oddly mature version of his shtick. I think he kind of almost leaned. There are some heavy characterizations, but they're not nearly as over the top as before. Sorry, we're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So that was just our little review of The Gentleman. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think all three of us walked out saying, it was a bit of alright, that.
We were calling each other fuckhead.
Yeah, so we tried to stay away from the C word, and I'm glad we got through that review without the C word.
Yeah, we got through the whole thing.
Moving on from there, Michael, it's been a bloody season of reviews for us here at the podcast. What else did we watch?
Non-stop, The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, watched it all wrap up.
Yeah.
Very good.
Watchmen.
The Darksaber, Michael.
Yeah, that's interesting. A little twist, isn't it?
It's not really. It's also not a really spoilery spoiler. I just said a word. You have to see where it fits in.
Yeah, but that's a bit of a twist. We saw the end of Watchmen.
So I didn't, but you did.
You still haven't seen it? Get on that, Ben. It's very good.
Very good.
Yeah, the swan song of the Marvel TV universe.
Couldn't care less.
The Runaways is not very good.
Couldn't care less.
And Ben, the surprise hit of the decade in the world of TV. Friend of Guy Ritchie. Henry Cavill, The Witcher. Henry Cavill as Gerald as The Witcher. Gerald.
Gerald the Witcher. Jerry the Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Look, Michael, we watched The Witcher on Netflix.
Just shut for 1 second, Ben. You were telling me some facts about The Witcher's viewership.
I was.
Go on, tell me those.
I was. Well, Michael, it bloody swooped in there because it only came out at the end of December. And it became the most on-demand show of 2019.
Incredible.
It pipped everything at the post.
Watchmen.
Bloody Jon Favreau was sitting there, arms crossed behind his back, just going, oh yeah, raked it in. Best show of 2019.
Gonna go and make a spaghetti.
And then bloody Bard comes along with a bloody mandolin. He goes, oh yeah. Toss a view to your Witcher, O Valley of Plenty. Apart from giving us the catchiest song of 2019, it bloody pipped everyone to the post and has become the most on-demand show of 2019.
Oh,
right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end.
What salt in Jon Favreau's wounds?
You see, the thing about The Mandalorian is Disney Plus is big, but it's 10% of Netflix.
Yeah.
So, you have to factor that in. And you also have to factor in piracy.
Yeah, piracy is a big thing.
We didn't pirate The Mandalorian. We went to America.
America.
And we watched it week on week.
We're still waiting to be reimbursed by the Irish government.
Ridiculous.
For business expenses.
But most of bloody Europe
yes,
probably, and I'm not saying any names, probably pirated The Mandalorian.
Yes, not saying any names.
No names.
I definitely wouldn't have my hand up in the tiny room.
A lot of people probably did. Whereas The Witcher, anyone can watch The Witcher.
Anyone can watch
All
The
you
Witcher.
do is pay your €7 to Netflix or whatever.
And that helps.
And
that does help.
And you've got a shirtless Henry Cavill.
I mean, it was good.
There's some
good.
boobies in it.
There are a lot of tatas. Yes.
There's sword fighting.
There's a lot of that. Michael, I have to say,
Yeah.
very enjoyable sword fighting. Very enjoyable sword
There's
fighting.
lots of kicking a man in the head.
Oh, there was quite a bit of that. Look, Michael, are we doing a little breakdown? We'll try and do a spoiler free because it's a bit early in the. Well,
Is it?
we'll do a mild spoilers.
Okay.
Mild spoilers. We'll try not to give away any of the big moments.
To be honest, the story of The Witcher is long since told, and this is his origin essentially.
Yes.
Not really, but you know what I mean. It's early going.
Yeah, it's early going. Early days.
If you've played the games,
this has all been covered.
If you've even read the back of the box of the games.
True.
You pretty much know because
fair enough.
This season is putting everyone in place. It's like season 1 of Preacher, the show.
Okay, then we'll do maybe spoilers.
Yeah,
maybe
spoilers. But Yennefer,
Yennefer of Vengerberg, is in it. Bloody Triss is there. Triss Merigold is there.
Or is she, Ben?
Or is she? Is she really? I mean, we'll get to that in a second, Michael. One of the key distinctions there, Michael, because you mentioned the games, is this TV series is based on the book.
Is it?
And I was given the book by a good friend of the podcast, Connor, who is our sometimes cameraman.
Connor, Sam Giordine.
Of the podcast. And he gave me the first collection of short stories in the Witcher literature.
In the native Polish.
Which is The Last Wish. In the native Polish. I've had a very intense December of learning Polish just so I could read those bloody books.
Very good.
No, I'm kidding. I read it in English.
Jestem sexy.
And it's a very, 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 very... Does that mean yes, I'm sexy?
No, it means I am sexy.
Oh, I am sexy. That makes sense. It's true. Michael is a very, very, very attractive man.
It's also the only thing I can say in Polish.
Well, it's all you need, Michael, with a face like that.
Uwaga.
What does that mean?
Caution.
Oh!
Uwaga.
Caution, I'm very sexy. Yes! All right, moving on from there swiftly, ladies and gentlemen. So I have read the first book just last week after having watched the L series, and so I can actually give us a hand here as we go along. But anyway, of the main things in it, there are some very good things about this show, Michael.
Yes.
The performances.
Henry Cavill.
Solid.
Very good.
Solid. Yennefer of Vengerberg is very enjoyable to watch. Bloody Henry Cavill is great to watch. A little bit of language spoiler. Fuck. I actually had a friend and she said I couldn't watch it after the first episode because of his voice.
He's too sexy.
No, she said it was too irritating.
I could see that.
But I think she is a great Henry Cavill fan, but she was like, no, couldn't do it after the first episode. If I had to listen to him go...
It did take a while. Yeah. I was surprised that Henry Cavill had committed so much to doing the voice.
He hardcore committed to it.
I thought he was just going to Henry Cavill it, and it doesn't.
It's only when you listen to the game side by side. There are a few side by side. Very close. Oh, yeah. He methoded the crap out of that.
I hope he has a good voice coach, because talking in that voice for a long period
can wear
you
out.
Very damaging on the vocal cords if you're not doing it.
He doesn't actually talk as much as you think, though.
No, he doesn't talk very much at all. But still, for every hour on screen, there's probably 10 or 20 hours of acting.
Yeah, that's fair.
And his voice would be in bits.
Yeah, his voice would be in bits. So would his body. The size of the man in this show, Michael.
Ben, you're easily impressed by large men.
Well, I'm quite a small man, Michael, so yes, I am.
He has definitely worked out and dehydrated.
We are not, but that's how they all do it, Michael. Like, I don't know if that's the insult it should be anymore.
No, it's not an insult.
It's a fully accepted part of Hollywood muscles.
He's a pretty big dude.
He's a pretty big dude.
Good at jiu-jitsu, apparently. Not as good as Guy Ritchie.
Him and Guy Ritchie have a little scrap now and then.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think that's what solidified their friendship.
Are you coaching them, Michael? Is this
how
you're launching your celebrity jiu-jitsu coaching service?
No, we're doing it, Ben. Our long-term plan is to do a celebrity jiu-jitsu fight series on YouTube.
You just want to see me get the crap kicked out of myself, Michael. That's all you want to see.
Look, to be fair, like, let's say
I probably could get in shape, Michael.
Let's say you were to fight Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie would beat you.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Henry Cavill would beat you probably just on size alone.
Pure size, Michael. He's twice me.
I think even, to be honest, that English prick, what's his name?
There are so many English pricks, Michael. You're going to have to be more. Oh, fucking bloody.
That guy, you know him?
No, I
was married to Katy Perry for a while. Russell Brand.
Russell!
I think Russell would beat you on experience, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
But I think you have a shot against Jonah Hill if we get you training soon enough.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
That's very specific. The Witcher. So his performance is very good. I think the budget is phenomenal. I
10
think
million an episode, they say.
Fruit Loops. That is insane.
Yeah.
It shows like it's the monsters are great. The digital effects are very good.
Everyone's in the nude.
But the actors are great. Siri, the young lady who plays Siri, does a very good job.
Yes.
Calanthe is a very interesting character. That's
Who's
the queen
Calanthe?
of
Queen
Queen
Calanthe.
Calanthe, who is the grandmother of Siri. She's a great actress. She's very enjoyable to watch on screen. Look, it's all very good, Michael.
It is all very good.
Except,
yes, go on.
Oh, sorry, go on. You do
There
your
were
eye.
a couple of things I wasn't.
I was just about to.
I didn't think the casting of Yennefer was great.
Yeah, you don't like the Yennefer casting. Why is that now?
She is a fabulously attractive woman.
She is,
and a very good actress.
Yes,
but I just think she's too young.
She is. She doesn't have the presence of an older lady.
Yeah,
an intimidating older lady.
And I always thought the point of Yennefer was that she was probably close to 40.
Is that just how you wanted it in your head, Michael?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've played the game, so you know, I always saw her as a Claudia Black type character. Now, Claudia Black's 50 odd now, so you wouldn't cast her. Also, I think the young lady who's playing her is a much better actress than Claudia Black.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And she's playing the character very well, but she's just also so small.
Yeah,
she's so small and young compared to Henry
Cavill.
She's very
small up against Henry Cavill. Yeah. I remember seeing that at one point. She goes up to him and it leans against his chest, and he's like, "Oh, you're tiny.
Yeah,
you are tiny."
Video game Yennefer is nearly equal, and she's not as tall as Geralt, but she's pretty tall.
I think the actress herself is only 20.
Yeah, I think she's 22
her and
or
Siri are very close. You see them in behind the scenes stuff.
So I wasn't madly impressed by the casting, to be honest. But she's doing a great job. But she's not the Yennefer that you had expected. I had expected at all.
Or wanted.
I don't believe their relationship because the size and age difference is so obvious.
It is quite different.
And, you know, it's funny that I nearly feel I have to justify the fact that I'm saying Hollywood should cast older women as love interests for older men.
Well, that's interesting.
Because...
Well, that's one of the big problems with Hollywood, isn't it? There's quite often a disparity. I'm looking forward to the new James Bond because I don't know who they're going to cast to be his young lady. Look, Anna de Armas looks like she's maybe going to be the interest of this one.
Yeah, maybe.
She's very young compared to Daniel Craig.
Yeah, she is.
That's what I mean. Like, this is a common folly.
The funny thing about Henry Cavill is he's not as old as you might think he is. He's only 32 or 33.
He looks younger in the show.
He looks older.
Oh, okay.
But I still think he looks way too old and way too big for the relationship.
He's 33. He's 33.
Is he? Yeah, he's surprisingly young.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my complaint about Yennefer, but it's fine.
She's complaint about the show, and this is a mild spoiler for the TV show, so if you don't want a mild spoiler, skip ahead there. Bloody multiple timelines that we didn't know about until later in the thing.
Westworld has a lot to answer for.
I'm getting very sick of that trope. I'm getting very sick of that. Oh, wait. Oh,
that was before.
These are multiple timelines.
Westworld has a lot to answer
I've
for. I've
had enough of that now. I did think the plot itself was far too like the first book, where it's just a bunch of short stories.
Now, Ben, how very dare you say that an adaptation was far too like its source material, and then use that as a criticism?
Well, I think something in the book that's very much missing from the very much missing from the TV show is a framing device. In the book, so the Last Wish, and I'm just going to segue between the two.
All right.
The Last Wish, the first story of the Last Wish is the Striga arc. That we see represented in the show. And the Striga arc sees Geralt suffer that horrendous injury to his neck. And then the framing device...
Can I just interrupt you, Ben? Scientifically, it's called the necular region.
The necular region. Okay, so Jerry takes a hit to the necular region. And then he has to recover at the... I think it's the Church of Methilde. I'm not sure how to say that. And the framing device is him talking to the priestess in... the Church of Methilde, and they get to kind of
his life story.
Yeah, exactly. It jumps around a lot in the TV show, and there's not a center point until we kind of get the relationship between Geralt and Yennefer, and it jumps around a lot. Now, it was interesting. Both characters were really interesting to watch, so it was fine. But there's not that satisfaction of an arc tying together or anything like that. I don't know.
And because Geralt and Yennefer are both kind of slightly ageless,
yes,
it works. But they also do, they to use some media language, Ben, they do lampshade it a little bit.
What's lampshade? So you're going to have to help me out there, Michael.
To put a lampshade on something is to kind of highlight something that's obviously wrong and make a little joke of it. And then it's kind of a little agreement with the audience to say, look, we know, you know, we know. Let's just have a little
wink,
giggle
wink,
and
nudge,
carry
nudge.
on. For example, Yennefer and Jerry don't age.
Yes.
Or age very slowly.
Yes.
But Jaskier should age.
But he doesn't.
But he doesn't really. So when Yennefer meets Jaskier in, let's say, the most current timeline, she says to him, the crow's feet are new. And he says, your jokes are old, which I think is actually a very good comeback. But anyway, he doesn't have crow's feet. He looks exactly the same.
He looks exactly the same. But also, the characters can see the progression.
Also, when Jaskier meets Jerry, and Jerry's fishing for the bottle with the genie in it.
Yes.
He says, Jerry, what's it been? Years? Yeah. Decades? Months?
Yeah. He kind of just doesn't know all this. I think, it's interesting to have those little asides. I think the weakest part of the show is probably the plot. It's just, but the writers have already come out and said season 2 will be a lot tighter because now we have the Ciri Jerry link up, and that leads to kind of,
and they have to go find Yennefer.
Yeah, they have to go find Yennefer, and it's a whole thing. Interestingly, I do actually think it's a wonderful adaptation of the first book. I think a lot of the stories are very well put together. So. The Striga is taken directly from the first book, the whole Striga arc. Sorry, my brain's not going to work now. It's actually...
You give a vague description and then I'll help you out.
The Yennefer meetup is there, the whole taking over the town, the orgy. The orgy is very played up in Netflix. It's not nearly as orgy based in the book.
You need something to get those Game of Thrones fans in there.
They definitely did. They were like, come on.
Do you like this song? Toss a coin.
We've got some tatas. Get over. So there's a lot of that. I actually think, funnily enough, it's nice that the whole Renfi arc is in the original collection of stories as well.
The Hedgehog Man.
No, Renfi is the
lady,
the kind of curse lady.
Yeah, the curse lady,
and the whole Calanthe Hedgehog Man Law of Surprise is there as well. And they're all very well adapted. The only criticism, and it's unavoidable, I suppose, is that they go very quickly in the series.
Well, isn't that the nature of TV shows? Yes,
that's the nature of TV shows, and that's exactly what it is. But they do a very good job. In fact, I would say they improve on the show quite a bit when it comes to certain relationships. They make them more interesting. For example, in the first collection, Dandelion, Jaskier, and Geralt are very good friends. There's no tension between the two. They're like best friends. That's their relationship.
They're a real Hercules and Aeolus.
Almost, yeah. Almost. They get on very well. There's no tension between them. I think it's much more entertaining to watch Geralt put up with Jaskier and then actually have to admit that it's his very good friend.
Gradually develop a friendship.
Yes, I think that's a much more interesting tone for the thing to take. I think Calanthe has a much better characterization in the TV show. In the book, she's just a very spiteful character in the book, whereas in this we very much understand why she's so keen to cling on to her daughter and so keen to cling on to her granddaughter, and it's just a lot more going on. Where I would say we missed out on a couple of things is there's a huge Irish influence in the book.
Bigarda.
Skellig, who is which is the nation that aids Central, which is Calanthe's kingdom, they're very much Irish based. Their whole culture is Celtic and pagan and druidic and nautical. For some reason, they're all
boats.
They're all sailors.
They're to what bloody Game of Thrones Iron Island.
Exactly. Same idea.
They're even in the same spot on the map.
They possibly are.
Yeah.
And Mousrak, who is of Indian descent, he seems to have a very Arabic influence in the TV show. Mousrak. What's his name?
Mousesack?
That's it, Mousesack. In the book, it's Mousrak.
Oh, is it?
Reach, like Gaelic spelling. He's a druid. He's a Celtic druid. He's not of kind of Arabic Middle Eastern descent at all. But it doesn't matter. He still has the same kind of characterization. He stays on as the guardian of all that kind of stuff. It's all very interesting, Michael. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a very strong adaptation. I would strongly recommend the book, Michael.
Get out of here. I don't really like books, man.
Very enjoyable.
So many words.
Very enjoyable book to have a read of, and you'll get through it quite quickly.
Oh, good.
It's a lot of pages, but it flashes by.
Oh, very good. Big words.
Very well written. Very well
Big
written.
Text. Very well written in Polish, you mean?
Which, yes, in its original language of Polish. Translated by a Polish person. Can't remember the second
Don't do
name.
it, Ben. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I won't be able to get it. Anyway, that brings us to our next segment. Like, what even is The Witcher?
Well, I've played the
Where
games,
does it all
Ben.
come from? You have, Michael. You have. The games were kind of...
Very hard.
Yes, apparently they are. Yeah.
1 and 2
Bit
especially.
Dark Souls-ish.
Harder.
Harder.
Yeah, Dark Souls gets more credit for hardness than it really should because you die a lot in Dark Souls, but that's part of the mechanic.
Okay.
The Witcher is just hard.
Okay, it's just a tough game.
It's just hard. It's not because it's hard. It's not hard as a mechanic. Like you don't die and improve, and it's just hard. It's real hardcore Polish. That's it. We're making a hard game, and if you don't like it,
Tough tabs.
yeah, jestem sexy.
What's caution?
Uwaga.
Uwaga. Uwaga, jestem sexy.
Yes.
So, yeah, the original game came out in 2007. That was the first Witcher game.
So hard.
So hard. But it didn't really reach acclaim until Witcher 3,
Witcher
The
3.
Wild Hunt, which has become one of the games of the decade, I think, and voted in most lists.
I think most people voted their game of the decade.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went for that. And they're based on the original novels by a Polish author. Now, I will get this wrong. I'm incredibly sorry to any Polish listeners that we have. I don't know if we have
made
any.
it through the jestem sexy nonsense.
Yes. Andrzej Zapkowski is the name. As far as I know, I looked up a bunch of pronunciations.
That's probably pretty close.
And tried to get him down. He originally wrote the books in it's written here.
The 1900s.
The 1900s. 407 years ago. Where's it gone? I had it written down.
Ben, your little notebook says Podcast 2020 on it.
It does. Look, it's a repurposed notebook because I didn't want to buy a new one, Michael, because I had an old one that I hadn't finished. So I've got a little red clip here because we're saving the environment here at the podcast. We don't want to waste all that paper. But anyway, it was in 1993 when The Last Wish came out.
So long ago.
And chronologically speaking, that's not when the first story came out. The Sword of Destiny was the original Geralt kind of introduction. But now, in canon,
you love canon.
this is where you start, 1993. Okay. So 1993 is when it's done. So CD Projekt Red, who were the developers of the game, found these stories, absolutely loved them, and said, "Hey, Andrzej, can we make a little game out of this?"
Yeah,
and Andrzej was like, "Oh, video games, what a silly thing. They couldn't possibly make any money. I'll take a one-off payment, please." And then, as we said, game of the decade for a lot of people. And now he's kind of like, Oh, I've
buggered that.
I've gone and bloody
Listen,
fucked
lads, uvaga. You want to make sure you get your rights.
So now apparently they're making a Witcher 4 and they have to renegotiate with him, but they've agreed to do that.
They sleep on piles of cash at this stage.
Yeah, they've agreed to do that, which I thought was very nice of them as a group. They said, look, Andrzej needs a renegotiation, but he did have a lawsuit against them at one point. They did have a little bit of a legal dispute over that.
A real Bill Finger situation.
And I think he was talked out of dropping it. I think he was convinced that settled out of whatever. But now he's got that Netflix money. That's sweet.
Did he get the money?
Well, his publishing house, and I'm assuming he would receive something because they have nothing to do with the game. He retains the rights to Geralt. He is allowed to do with that what he will. It's not like a HBO George R. R. Martin thing where they have a lot of the merchandising rights now and stuff like that. I think he retains all that.
He owns Geralt still.
Yeah, I think it's still him.
Except for video games.
He has been quoted as saying that he loves Henry Cavill's portrayal of The Witcher. He had a very interesting parallel. He said, just like Viggo Mortensen gave his face to Aragorn, Henry Cavill will now forever be Geralt of Rivia.
I'm really happy for Henry Cavill.
I think he deserves one. I think he
needed a win.
I think he needed a win. He's been Henry Cavill is often one of the most charming things about anything he's in.
Yeah.
And I think he had to remind everybody with Mission Impossible 5?
Fallout.
He was great in that. Like he was a very good villain.
He was good in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
He was great in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I really enjoyed, and I think you really enjoyed as well. But the world didn't.
He was hampered as Superman.
Yeah. Look, I think he got a rough deal there.
Not his fault.
I think he got a rough deal there. He did a pretty good job in Man of Steel. He was the best thing about Man of Steel. Everything else was bloody awful.
Not very good at all.
Not very good at all. But look, he needed the win.
He did, and he got one.
And he got one.
Yeah.
And he got one.
On TV.
So, Michael, the reason we're here, and what I thought would make for
a very philosophical
yes, it is. The reason we're here, Michael,
is because of Raid Shadow Legends.
It's because of Raid Shadow Legends. This week's episode is
don't do it. Sorry.
Oh, Michael, that was very good.
Yeah.
We were watching a video earlier about how Raid Shadow Legends are a bit... Yeah. But anyway, what we thought we would do for this episode, Michael, because everyone's probably seen the show now, and what's the point in reviewing a show that came out about 3 weeks ago?
No point.
So we thought we'd take a look at some of the lore
Yeah.
And break it down, because, as I said, friend of the podcast and the Sam to my Dean, Connor said, look, when he gave me the book, he goes, look, I've read them all, I think they're great, and you're a bloody lore nerd, so you'll probably enjoy all those obscure European references that I just couldn't be bothered with. And I did, Michael. I enjoyed them immensely. So I went and found out a couple of things, and what we thought we'd do, Michael, if we break down a bit of lore for you.
Yeah, so it's like
take a look at some influences.
Yeah. What even is The Witcher?
And see how they're treated in both different worlds. So, number one, Michael, let's start where it all began.
Yeah.
Bloody Strigas. Bloody Strigas.
Yeah.
Strigas are, well, there's a lot of different names for them. There's Strizgia, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly. Probably not.
It sounds like the same thing, Ben.
Yes, and then there's Strigoi. Strigoi you've probably heard before because it's mentioned in Bram Stoker's Dracula. And you being the avid Bram Stoker fan that you are, Michael, you and all your t-shirts and your other tiny room dedicated to Bram Stoker. So they're kind of vampire demon hybrid things. They're very strange. They're not quite vampires in the traditional...
They're in Skyrim as well, I think.
They probably are.
I think they're the vampire family in Skyrim, if I remember
so they're
correctly.
a traditional Eastern European vampire monster thing. But they also come from a thing called... So there's an interesting combination of two different monsters here. There's a thing called a myling in Slavic folklore, and that's a pre-baptism death. The baby comes back and haunts the house of where it should have been. And they feature in the game The Witcher 3. They're this strange little bulbous kind of deformed creatures that crawl around and feed on mothers. Yeah, it's bloody twisted. So it's kind of a combination of both of those, and it's almost like a werewolf curse as well, I suppose. There's a little bit of werewolf thrown in there for good measure. So in the comic book, or not in the comic book, in the book, the Striga belongs to Volsist. It's his kind of bastard daughter from an incestuous relationship. Ugh. And she was cursed by someone. You're not actually sure of the origin of the curse in the book. They don't know where it came from.
Once you break it.
But in the series they make it very clear that bloody dickhead who loved the sister went and cursed it. So Geralt takes that down in much the same fashion, but that's where it comes from. It's an Eastern European vampire demon thing he mixed with a myling. The other big one that we see at the start of the series is a Kikimora. Which is the big spider-looking yoke. I thought that was Japanese, Michael. I was convinced.
It sounds Japanese.
I thought it had a very Japanese-sounding name. Not at all.
I thought it was a young Irish woman that we met on FetLife. You know, Kikimora. But we had to stop inviting Kikimora. Kikimora, we had to stop inviting her over.
Oh, Kinky Moira.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Sorry, I really enjoyed that, Michael. This is completely different in actual lore.
She was a bit intense.
She was a bit much. I wouldn't have minded it. She kept putting ball gags in my mouth. We have to do a podcast, Michael.
Yeah. No good.
Doesn't work like that. A Kikimora is another Slavic spirit, and it's a female spirit. That's the point.
Never trust a female spirit.
Never trust a female spirit, especially if she mentions ball gags twice a conversation. But look, they're very different in actual lore and the Witcher lore.
They're not a big stabby spider.
In the Witcher, they're a big stabby spider thingy. Now, they do come from swamps. They're known to haunt swamp grounds and things like that, and homes in swamps. But they're more of a poltergeist. They're more of a kind of Slavic poltergeist creature.
They're not a big stabby spider.
Not at all.
Oh,
not
what
at
a
all.
shame.
That was kind of created for the games, I think, to give you something a bit more to sink your teeth into. And certainly in the books as well, because he has it strapped to the back of his horse. So it's a big bloody grey thing. One of the more interesting monsters that we see in this, Michael, is one of the intelligent ones. And Henry Cavill puts it very aptly. He says, "You are an intelligent one." He does it in his big
You
deep,
absolute fuckhead.
You absolute fuckhead. Come
let's
on,
fucking do
let's
something.
have you
Let's have you fucking blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you fuckhead.
That's the Sylvan. The Sylvan we've seen everywhere. You find that kind of half goat, half man thing in just about every mythology you can get your hands on.
Mr. Bloody Tumnus.
Mr. Bloody Tumnus from the Narnia Chronicles. It's a Greek origin thing. It's a satyr or a faun or whatever you're having yourself.
The top half is the man, the bottom half is the goat, the head is a man goat.
Traditionally associated with Pan, and this one, it's exactly the same. Big penchant for mischief, loves a bit of mischief. That's leaned on a lot more heavily in the book. We get a lot more fleshed out version of who the Sylvan is.
You mean he's a fatter
and what
guy?
he does. Much fatter man.
He's a big fatter goat man.
Yeah. One of the more interesting characters that we see, Michael, in the show is the doppelganger.
Yeah.
And the doppelganger, which is similar to a doppelganger, I thought he was an excellent addition to the show. He is not in The Last Wish, but he does appear later.
I don't remember who you're talking about.
The guy who becomes Mousak.
Oh, that asshole.
Yeah, that son of a gun. I thought it was Rami Malek at the start of the show in the mirror. You know where you see him in his kind of handsome form, or the form that he likes? Mm-hmm. I thought that was Rami Malek. It's not. No. But anyway, the doppelganger is of German origin, as we've covered before on this podcast.
You love a doppelganger, Ben.
Love a doppelganger.
You bring a doppelganger into literally any conversation.
Love a doppelganger. It's 90% of what I do in life, Michael, is I just drop doppelgangers into conversation. So there's a whole bunch of different things. They have a huge kind of Slavic, Scandinavian background. And mostly it depends. If you go through Finnish folklore, they're actually a guardian spirit. A doppelganger is there to look after people.
Oh, that sounds nice.
What's really interesting about the show is it kind of takes things from another one. There's an Irish version of a doppelganger called a fetch. Mm-hmm. And a fetch is an ill omen of death.
Oh, God.
It means you're going to die. If you see yourself, you're going to die.
Oh, no.
That's the way it works. But it's interesting. They've taken all these different influences and put it in one character, Michael. Mm-hmm. Because we have the doppelganger, who at the beginning is sent as an assassin.
Mm-hmm. Assassin.
And when you see your doppelganger, he'll transform into you, and then he'll kill you. Oh, so the fetch influence is very much there. But more interestingly, Michael, by the end of the arc, and big spoilers for the episode with the doppelganger, he turns out to defend Ciri. He lets her go, and he tries to take out, what's his name?
I don't know, the bad guy.
The big bad guy. Yeah. And that makes him more of a traditional Finnish kind of guardian doppelganger. So there's a lot of interesting lore being mixed together there. One of the big ones that we see in both the book and in the TV show, are we out of time?
No,
we're not. Is the gin. And we all know what gins are, Michael.
You love a bit of gin.
I love a bit of gin. Love a bit. I'm on gin right now, Michael. And that's Arabic in origin, Middle Eastern in origin. They're big bloody wish-granting things. What I liked about this was it's a bloody dangerous thing to summon a gin,
don't
Michael.
Be messing around with
and only
gins.
a bloody strong, proper magician can bloody go around doing it, Michael.
Don't be doing that.
And there's a lot of that going on there. They have a huge tradition in Middle Eastern folklore. There are lots of different types. Big blue ones in Aladdin. And not like the big blue ones in Watchmen, not the same thing. But yeah, so we see them a lot in things. They're contractually obligated to kind of command and do things that they're told. Yeah. And if you don't
like it though.
But if you muck it up, oh boy, they'll get you.
They'll get you like Satan.
Oh, they'll get you. One of the things I really enjoyed about The Last Wish in the book is you get a much more fleshed out kind of background on a lot of the lore, and it turns out the reason that jinns attack your throat, like we see with Yaskir in the show, is they don't want you to make your wish. They're trying to stop you from making the wish.
But that's not what's happening in the show, Ben.
That's not what happens in the show. I think Geralt makes a wish that he can't sing anymore.
Yeah, I wish he'd shut up or something like
that's a very different way of done in the book. But anyway, look, it doesn't matter. It's all very interesting. And the last one that we saw, Michael, that I found really interesting is when Ciri and her elfin friend find their way to the forest of Broccolin. Broccolin, the broccoli forest.
Yeah.
And we find the kind of elvish, the last of the elvish people or something like that hiding in the forest. They reminded me of Amazons quite a bit, Michael. I thought there was a strong Amazon influence going through there. I really enjoyed the series, Michael. I enjoyed the book even more. I recommend them both thoroughly.
The game is very good too because you get a little bestiary when you meet horrible monsters and stuff and kill them.
Bestiary.
There's also ghouls, don't forget.
Oh yes, I forgot about the ghouls, Michael.
They were bricks.
The ghouls feature heavily in quite a few places. They give Geralt an run for his money. Yeah, ghouls. Devourers of the dead.
Yeah. Humans who've been cursed by their own actions. Generally, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that now, Michael. Yeah. Oh, look, you've taught me something new. Oh, how enjoyable. Ladies and gentlemen, did you...
Oh, yeah. Toss a coin to your witcher.
Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty.
He's a friend to humanity.
The edge of it when I... No, what is it? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy The Witcher? Did you enjoy the TV show? Did you enjoy seeing Henry Cavill in the bloody nip in a bathtub? What did you think of Yennefer of Vengerberg? Yennefer. And so on and so forth. What did you think of all these? What did you think of Triss? I thought Triss was very hard done by in the elf show.
Yeah, she got a bit hard done by,
character. Didn't think it was great. Kind of a toss-away character. Doesn't feature in the original story with the Striga at all. She has nothing to do with it. They just kind of shoved her in the show.
Shoved Triss in there.
What did you think? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
What did you enjoy over the Christmas watching period? Are you a huge Cats the musical fan?
Yes.
Are you a huge Cats the bloody film production fan?
Yes, I am.
What are you a fan of, ladies and gentlemen? As always, look, New year, new us, new season,
Yeah.
new everything, ladies and gentlemen.
Except content.
Except content. Same
old content.
tired format as before. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to give us a belated Christmas present, you can give us a couple of reviews. If you're listening to us on YouTube, bloody give us a like and subscribe. We'd love it. If you're listening to us on Spotify, follow us on Spotify. Give us a little follow. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please, we beseech you, toss a coin to your podcast and give us a review. Okay, we need those reviews. They put us up at the top of the list. If you don't enjoy our content, don't give us a review. Don't leave us alone. You can get in touch with us in many, many places. If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed, if there's something that's been scratching your brain, if you need a little bit of help with something, if you want to understand a trope or some lore, get in touch with me. If you want to talk about cats, get in touch with Michael. You can do it on Instagram at Seomrabeag, SEOMRABEAG. Or you can find us at, no, I said Instagram. Or you can find us at our website where you can keep up to date with all of our various podcasts and shows at seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was our first episode of the new year. Thank you for sticking with us. We're now in our third year as a podcast, which is bloody bizarre. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great old time. Bye-bye.
And you forgot to tell them about Collecting Issues on Wednesday.
Oh, there's Collecting Issues on Wednesday where we take a look at Lucifer, the Vertigo reboot of the series. Nothing like the Netflix adaptation. Check it out. It's bloody grim and dark and dreary. And then have a read of it and then give us a listen on Wednesday if you haven't had enough of us. That's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Bye now.